Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So really impromptu Q&A video today that I put up on my Snapchat earlier this morning, and have gotten like 15 questions, and then I had to cull it because I knew I would just talk for ages. So anyway, getting straight into it. First question was, what app do I use to track my macros? So I use my MyFitnessPal all the time, and I don't have the premium version, but I am considering getting it. So if anyone does have it and thinks it's really good, leave a comment below or send me a Snapchat or something. The premium version, you can change your calories and your macros by the day. So if you want for training and non-training days, and you can also set your calories by the gram as opposed to percentage. So MyFitnessPal is the app that I use. How many carbs do I eat in a day? So like I've always said, I would never tell people my macros because it makes no sense. Like what I eat is completely different to what someone else eats. But what I will do is I will tell you my macro breakdown by percentage: 30% carbohydrates, 40% protein, and 30% fats. So that's my macro breakdown, so I will leave that here. Where do I get my eyebrows done? So I now currently just get them threaded in the Body Shop, and I actually tint them myself. But I did when I had terrible eyebrows, and when I originally started I went to Shavata in Harvey Nicks. I am considering getting something like embroidery or microblading, something like that done. So if you've had it done or you have any experience, leave a comment below and let me know. When I first started out, did I start with a PT or did I go it out alone, and is a personal trainer necessary? So when I first started out, I was really lucky. I was part of a gym that provided really good fitness classes. Then from there I started training with a personal trainer, not as a client, just as like a friend, and learned so much. But the only thing I'll say about that is it didn't really give me a lot of accountability. So when you're handing over cold hard cash to someone, you know, you want to get your money's worth. Whereas I suppose I probably was like, if I don't do it, I don't do it. Like, it's not the worst in the world. No, a personal trainer is not necessary, but obviously it's going to help get you to your goals quicker. How often should you increase your weight by, and by how much? For example, a kilo every 3 weeks. So this is really individual. Like, it depends what you're training for. Are you training for strength? Are you training for fat loss? You know, there's so many different elements that come into play here. For me personally, if I feel like I can lift really heavy on a day, I will lift as heavy as I can. So that might be, you know, 10 or 15 kilos up on a squat from the previous week. And it might be like 5 or 10 kilos up on a shoulder press from the previous week. But then I do have days where I go into the gym and I just feel like I can't lift heavy. And on those days I don't lift heavy because you're just going to injure yourself. I don't think there's any set rule unless you're following like a strength program, you know, like a 5x5 or something like that. I don't think there's any set rule on what you should increase by. I feel like it should be what you are capable of on that day. Thoughts or tips for intuitive eating? Probably the wrong person to ask this for. Like, I've been doing macro counting for a year or more now, and I still use MyFitnessPal. I'm not very good with intuitive eating because I just overeat. I'm not very good with guessing portion sizes either. Like, I still weigh my Greek yogurt every day. But I suppose, like, obviously there's going to become a time where I don't want to be counting macros and using MyFitnessPal for the rest of my life. I now know what my body needs to survive. I know it doesn't need that, like 2 biscuits in the morning with tea, or, you know, the extra slice of toast at breakfast. I know it doesn't need that, so I suppose that helps as well. But I think you're either really good at knowing what your limits are, or you're really bad at it. And I'm one of those people that probably overeats if I don't like keep everything on point, unfortunately. If I have one cheat meal a week, will it affect my progress or my goals? So it depends on what your cheat meal is, and it depends if it fits into your macros, and it depends on the type of person that you are. So many things depend on it. So for the first 2.5 months of this year, so from January to probably mid-March, I was not saying I'm going to have a cheat meal every week, And so then the weekend kind of turned into like a cheat weekend where I just eat stuff like all the time that I didn't put into my macros. And thinking back on it, I was probably overeaten by like 1,000 calories over the weekend. So yes, it completely affected my goals. My weight loss didn't happen. Like Monday I'd be one weight, Friday I'd be lower, the following Monday I'd be back to the previous week. I have a blog post. This is my blog. All on the first weekend I stayed on track basically, and the difference it had in my weight. I know weight and scales isn't everything, but it definitely opened my eyes. I think it depends where you're at with your diet. If you've been dieting for a really long time, I don't think one cheat meal is going to kill your progress. But I think if you're fairly, you know, you're just starting out, and you're going to have a cheat meal of like Domino's or Chinese or something every single week, yeah, it is going to affect your goals. Like it definitely is. I'm definitely turning around, or coming around even, to the idea of a little and often. My FitnessPal and sugar intake. So this girl's saying she eats a lot of fruit and vegetables, but her sugar intake on my FitnessPal is through the roof. So should she cut down? So vegetables don't really have that much sugar. Like obviously they do have some sugar, but not that much. But fruit will have a lot of sugar. Now, even though it's fructose and it's, you know, natural sugar, it still is sugar at the end of the day. And that's why I suppose people say limit your fruit intake-ish. Like obviously it's better than a bar of chocolate, but if you're sitting eating, you know, bananas, apples, berries all day long, like that's really high in sugar, and unless you're burning off that energy, you are going to put on weight. Recalibrated bodies, what to go for, a food plan or the macro plan. So personally I've gone for the macro plan, and that's because I'm used to counting macros. I'm used to If It Fits Your Macros and putting stuff into my FitnessPal. Like it's all I've done for the last year or so, so it's what I know. I know if you're new to it, it can be a little bit daunting, and it is hard to get your head around for the first, you know, little while. The food plan will give you 6 meals, 5 or 6 meals laid out, like gram for gram what you're meant to eat. So it's, if you're relatively new to clean eating and stuff like that, it's so much more handier for you. Personally, I'm really fussy, so I wouldn't let anyone make a food plan for me because I know I wouldn't end up eating it. So that's why I went with the macro plan. If you get the food plan though, I'm pretty sure the macros are given to you per meal, so you can substitute out food for something of a similar macro content. It's completely down to personal preference. Like for me, macro counting is just part of my life now. It's like I just do it without even thinking about it. But I know it can be a little bit daunting. I think especially because it's macros per meal as opposed to over the whole day, that can be a little bit hard to get used to. But like I said, after a couple of days, it just becomes a doddle. How do I deal with cravings, and how often would I have a clean treat like a protein bar or a Vitafiber cookie? So I'm really lucky that in the last kind of 6 or 7 weeks, I haven't really had any cravings. Like today, I said earlier on today, I said, oh, I'd love a Domino's pizza. And then I was like, I actually wouldn't. Like I wouldn't. Like I'd like a slice, and then I'd go, I'm over that. I haven't really had any cravings, and that's probably because I've given myself little what I like and often. With protein bars, I've said it a few times, I think they're brilliant, but I'm not the type of person that fits a protein bar into my macros every single day. I just don't. I just feel like I would get so much more value for that 200 calories in having it in Greek yogurt, nut butter, or, you know, having a turkey burger or something like that. I just feel like I get so much more bang for my buck from real food. Things like Vitafiber cookies and like protein ice cream and that type of stuff, I have them when I feel like I'm craving something nice or I feel like a treat. And like I suppose last weekend I made the ice cream and they were perfect. They were like 50 calories and I felt like I was having like a Cool Pop or something. Food advice for students. So I think the fact if you're a student, you're asking for advice is amazing, because when I was a student, be it in secondary school or college, I was like eating chicken fillet rolls every single day. Like it was a disgrace. But anyway, so I think if you are asking for advice, you're already on the right track. It's really hard because I know, number one, money is tight because you're a student. Number two, nights out are plenty. And number 3, the choices aren't always amazing in colleges. Like it tends to be like a deli or a chicken fillet roll or, you know, something like that. But I do think, you know, college life is such fun as well. So like I'd hate someone to get bogged down by like clean eating and counting macros and like miss out on like good fun. But in saying that, obviously it's amazing that you want to look after your health and stuff. Random one, how do I keep my makeup on when I'm working out? So I probably don't, like my makeup, it doesn't stay on, it's just I probably have used a filter. But I use the Rimmel long lasting makeup and I find it amazing. So it's the one with the red top on it. I find that absolutely amazing. And then I also use a makeup setting spray because I leave the house, I do my makeup at probably like 7:30 and I go to work all day and then I go to the gym, and so I do put on a makeup setting spray. It's actually one that I got in Victoria's Secret in Dublin Airport like 2 years ago, and they don't have it anymore, so I'm raging. How do you calculate your macros and then fit it into MyFitnessPal? So I have a blog post on how to calculate your macros, but I will do a video on it as well. And how do you fit it into MyFitnessPal? So in MyFitnessPal, in this menu, you'll see a thing called goals. So if you go into goals, you'll see a thing down here, I don't know if that's zoomed in, called macro and calorie goals or macronutrient. And anyway, that is, I'm not going to show you because it's my macros and people just start copying it and then they're like, oh my god, I'm not seeing results. So anyway, you can there put in your calories and then you can break it down by percentage. So it's not going to be exact gram for gram, but just go there or thereabouts. If I ever get cravings or am I hungry around my time of the month? So I used to blame my time of the month for me eating chocolate all the time, and since I've started training with Recalibrated Bodies and looking after my nutrition a bit more, I find I don't get the cravings. So I think it all comes back to a little and often and not restricting anything, and you know, not really like relying on a cheat meal and stuff like that. Yeah, of course I do get cravings, and of course I do, coming up to my time in the month, be like, oh, I just love a bar of chocolate, or you know, whatever the case might be. But what I've learned is the knowledge that Amanda has given me from my Recalibrated Bodies is to use my time of the month to like benefit me. So basically to train harder, to eat more like good carbs, to like get stronger. So I'm really focusing on that more so than the, oh, I can eat chocolate this month. Last question, this is a really hard one. Is it possible to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time? And should you be in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus? So this is definitely something that like a nutritionist or a PT should be answering and not me, but I'm going to give you my quick 2 cents on it. So it is possible to lose fat and gain muscle, but it is hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So you have to understand that. It depends what you want more. Do you want to build muscle more and lose a little bit of fat, or do you want to lose fat more and build a little bit of muscle? And that will tell you. So if it is the latter, if you want to lose fat as your main goal and hopefully build a little bit of muscle, well then you need to be in a calorie deficit. And you need to be training really hard, and you need to make sure that your macros are well worked out, and you know, you're seeking professional advice, so that you know you can tweak things when needs be. If it's the opposite and you want building strength is your #1 priority, and if you lost a little bit of fat you'd be happy out, well then obviously you could stay at maintenance or in a slight surplus. But you have to understand that it's hard to do both at the same time. That is my very quick Q&A. I can't believe I went through it that quickly. Normally I'm like talking shit for ages. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, leave a thumbs up, and if you have any questions that you didn't get a chance to answer or to ask even, you can leave a comment below, or you can catch me on Instagram and Snapchat, you know the handles. And yeah, other than that, I'm heading off to get myself ready for body power now. So the next video after this one is probably going to be a body power vlog. So thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.